Hello, everyone. I'm Samir Prince, and this is Path to the Pros, a series of video sessions where we sit down with some of the most talented and successful execs in sports and entertainment, learning about how they've got to where they are and what it takes to be a pro in their field. Today, I'm sat with Chris Insolera, a very successful partnership salesman, having worked for two of New York's most prestigious sports teams in the Yankees and the Nets, and has since transitioned into the world of esports. Chris, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So, kicking off with a question I always like to start with. Can you take us back to the start, Chris? How did you first get into sports?
Yeah, listen, like everybody that I'm sure you're talking to for these things, loved sports growing up, wanted to be a pro athlete, figured out in high school that that wasn't going to be the case. In college, I kind of pivoted my career aspirations to sports journalism. So wanted to be, the next Bob Costas or Tom Verducci. Did that for 4 years at the University of Virginia, wrote for a couple newspapers, did some radio work. Kind of got to the end of my college career and realized that that wasn't what I wanted to do. I always tell people it's amazing how much more information is out there now about careers in sports and how to work in sports than there was back when I was trying to figure it out. Naturally, I guess, my mind went to, all right, if you're not going to be in sports media, where else can you work in sports? Oh, you can go work for a team. The, whole sports business, at least in my eyes, was made up of sports teams, and
Yeah.
realized pretty quickly that I wasn't going to get a GM job right out of school. That the best way in with the team was as a minimum wage ticket seller, and I got that job right out of school with DC United of MLS, selling $15 soccer tickets to the corporate market, which is a job that, looking back on it, I probably shouldn't have taken. RFK Stadium crumbling to the ground. Soccer not nearly as well established back in 2006 when I was starting out as it is now, but was able to figure it out, have some success in that role, and launched me to where I am today.
Nice. Pretty good career so far. DC United, Yankees, BSC or the Brooklyn Nets, and obviously now TSM. What would you say has been or have been some of your highlights over the duration of your career so far, or achievements, I should say?
I've been very fortunate in what I've done throughout my career. I've worked on some big deals, two jersey patch deals at the Nets, number of seven-figure, very meaningful partnerships for the organizations that I've worked for. Obviously, I've represented, some of the most just prestigious brands in the world, and had experiences that 17-year-old Chris, if you asked him about back then, couldn't have even dreamed of, right? But listen, I think that the thing that I'm most proud about, over the course of my career, is relationships. You're only as good as your reputation in this business, and I've always tried to be very genuine in my approach with people. Approach every interaction, whether it's a sales call, a negotiation, an interview, networking opportunity, a mentoring opportunity, with sort of that, give, don't take approach, and, be solutions oriented. And, when I leave this business one day, I'm way less concerned about sort of the running tally of revenue generated and deals closed,
Yeah.
and, a lot more concerned about how people remember me as somebody that helped, right? That was there to always lend a helping hand. That was a good partner, a good teammate, a good leader. So of all the things that I've accomplished, like, I think that's probably top of the list, and obviously is, I think, led to some of the success on the deal making side, but more concerned about the relationships than anything else.
You've gone from that kind of traditional sports world, you've ventured into the world of esports. What made you make that jump to TSM?
Yeah, listen, I've always been interested in esports. Like many others, probably in traditional sports, would see the headlines about the growth, the brands investing in the space. It always intrigued me. I'd be lying if I said that I was actively looking for a job in esports. But when I was approached by TSM about the role that I've been in for the last year, it just made a lot of sense. I wanted to branch out from traditional New York team sports, learn something new. It was a chance to step into admittedly a bigger role in a massive growth space with a premium brand that had a lot of things in place in terms of IP, audience, reputation, history, but also just a ton of white space to innovate, right? And that was something that was really exciting to me, and just being in relatively big, well-established organizations for the majority of my career up to that point, was really intrigued by the chance to build something. And that startup experience, comes with the occasional headache, as a lot of your viewers, I'm sure, know. But ultimately, it's been really, really rewarding to take those skills and experiences from the time that I had in traditional sports and apply them to this.
And I find the industry such an exciting industry, right? Always been into gaming myself, big Call of Duty and FIFA fan for all of the gamers out there. And esports fans have grown year on year, quite extensively as well. I think the numbers are just shy of about 500 million people in 2020, 530 plus in 2022, which is actually double the number of fans that were in place in the year 2016. So whilst there have been some challenges across the industry, as there have been across others, that fan engagement and continued interest doesn't really seem to be slowing down. What would you, in your opinion, put that down to?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I've learned this over the last year. Esports fans are awesome. They're young, they're online all the time. They're super passionate, and they're incredibly engaged. We have a stat at TSM that 40% of our fan base, and we have almost 30 million social followers across all of our platforms, engage with our team daily, and over 70% engage with us multiple times per week. So from a pure engagement perspective, to answer your question, I think a big part of it is that there's just so much to be consumed. Again, I'll shamelessly plug TSM here. We put out over 24,000 hours of live content last year. We've got a world-class in-house production team that is just constantly churning out high-quality stuff for YouTube and our other channels. And other esports platforms are doing similar things, but esports is always on, it's year round, and the number of touch points in it are almost endless, which I think really drives that engagement that you mentioned.
Yeah, I think the access as well makes it a lot easier for those fans as well, right? Which actually leads me on to my next point. In the conversations that I'm having on a day-to-day, I speak with a lot of business leaders and ownership groups, and it seems that everyone kind of wants a piece of the pie, for those that haven't yet anyway. We've seen many traditional sports teams that have set up an esports team or a franchise, and we're seeing more and more teams enter tournaments each year. Do you think that those properties that maybe have chosen not to invest in esports will perhaps struggle to keep up with the rest?
Struggle is a relative term, right? Most traditional sports brands, I think, are institutions in their local communities, and that, especially in the big five of the major American sports leagues, are set up for long-term success almost by default. But listen, I think that it is critically important for all brands, whether it's a traditional sports team or just a general advertiser, to have a strategy for reaching and engaging with that next generation of consumers, of which the gaming and esports audience is a critically important and rapidly growing segment. So, are you missing out if you're not engaging with that? With that subset? Yeah, I think that you are. And, could that have long-term implications? Yeah, I think that it certainly can.
And final question, just before moving on to the hot seat, looking to the future, what do you think's next for esports?
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's no secret that the industry is going through some growing pains right now. I mean, you all see the headlines. There's some market corrections taking place, some pivots, with better business fundamentals in mind. But I think it's important to remember that esports isn't going anywhere, right? This has been around for, not as long as traditional sports have in many ways, but it's been around for a long time. Another stat that we like to share that I think speaks to just the overall strength and power of this thing is that the gaming industry as a whole, and obviously that's not just esports. Esports is a part of the gaming industry, but everything within the gaming industry, it's bigger than the film industry, the digital music industry, the video streaming industry, the NFL, and the Olympics combined. So esports is an important part of this behemoth of an industry. And I think it's going to continue to reinvent itself, right? The industry definitely needs to do a better job of monetizing its audience. That's a big part of what I'm working on and what esports executives across the board are working on. I think there are certain aspects of the relationships between teams and publishers that probably need to be reevaluated to improve the business models for teams. I think you're going to see esports orgs continue to look for ways that they can diversify their businesses. For example, TSM has done a really good job of that with our Blitz properties. It's one of the top digital coaching apps in the industry where we've built a robust media business around that. And allows us to reach and engage with a whole different segment of the gaming audience, not just esports fans or fans of TSM. And I think you're going to see esports organizations, or you're going to have to see esports organizations just continue to innovate, right, and create unique, ownable sponsorship platforms to generate high levels of reach and engagement for brand partners, and also get more sophisticated about measuring the ROI that comes from those investments. The same way that in traditional sports, the days of selling, the sign and the ticket package and the, IP rights, are for the most part long gone. In esports, the industries has to get a lot more sophisticated about how you bring brands into the space, and create authentic partnerships that really resonate with the fan base, that enhance the fan experience. And my dream, and I hope that where the industry continues to evolve to, is that it's more friendly and open towards bringing non-endemic brands into the space, right? I mean, you're starting to see that more and more across the board. TSM has a couple of great non-endemic partners in Jersey Mike's and General Motors and Geico. And there are countless of other examples across the industry, but you compare it to traditional sports, I think that's sort of the white whale in the industry, is to continue to evolve and bring on more of those non-endemic brands and really grow the pie for everybody.
There's clearly a lot to look forward to then. For anyone that's obviously interested and or looking to make a move into that space, it sounds like there's a lot of exciting plans ahead and different avenues that we can start looking at. So, Chris, really appreciate your insight there. Moving on to the final part of the discussion, the exciting part, my favorite part anyway, the hot seat. So, a quick fire round of would you rather questions, and we're going to kick off with Call of Duty or League of Legends.
League of Legends.
Interesting.
TSM is the most winningest team in North American League of Legends. So I would not be representing my my employer well if I didn't select League for that one.
Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Whiskey or wine?
Whiskey for sure.
Nice. Pizza or pasta?
That is a existential question for an Italian like myself, but I will go pizza.
Nothing intentional there whatsoever. Attending the Super Bowl or attending a World Cup final?
Ooh, that's a good one. I would say Super Bowl.
And last question, Forsyth Barnes or anyone else?
It's got to be FB, baby.
Love it. Chris, thank you so much. Been very, very insightful having you on. And I'm sure everyone that's been listening in and tuning in has learned a lot from this.
Thanks for having me, Samir. You're the man.
Next week, we've got someone who started up as an assistant for a media business and worked all the way up to a CMO for a top NFL team, and is living proof that you don't always need to relocate to progress your career. Thanks, everyone, for watching. See you then.